So, Josh, what are your thoughts on 9/11?
Oh my god.
And furthermore, America's involvement in Iraq.
I'm glad you brought this to my attention. Listen, here at the UN, we don't like to talk about these things.
This isn't how the game goes. The rules have changed.
The rules have changed.
So, fun fact. I was looking at the IMDb trivia for Backstabbing for Beginners, and do you know how they wrote the script?
Was it two people went and they saw a press conference with Bush, and they thought, hey, we can make a backstory to all of this?
Well, yes. Well, that was the first draft, and then they canned it.
Okay.
And then what they actually did was they spent a week watching every political thriller ever made, and they compiled a list of all the most cliched dialogue, and then they just kind of strung it together in no particular order, and then mashed it up with a they mashed it up with the Wikipedia page for the U.S. involvement in Iraq in the early 2000s. And that was the first draft, and then they hired Ben Kingsley, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So which movie do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Backstabbing
Welcome
for
to
Beginners.
welcome to A24 Quest, by the way.
No, don't welcome them. It's too late for them. They're already here.
This is our rare angry episode, because we've both been talking about a subject that makes us rather angry.
Listen.
And now we have to talk about these two movies.
Listen, motherfuckers, alright? I've quit my job,
Yeah.
I got pneumonia, and I'm just angry at the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Alright?
Yeah.
Let me talk about Iraq.
You sound like the director of Backstabbing for Beginners.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Sorry. I'll try not to make you laugh.
Yeah, it's not good for my health.
I know you're recovering from pneumonia.
Oh my
So we've
god.
both gotten pneumonia now. We're in the pneumonia club.
Yeah,
And I remember it being pretty awful.
I had it back in 2012 as well.
Oh,
it was
man.
much worse then. So I'm
that's
actually
good.
doing
That's
alright.
good. Apparently, if you get it once, you're then like a little like more resistant to it.
Yeah,
something like that.
My cough is bad, but it was much worse.
Yeah, when I had it, I could barely breathe.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I was there for you and there for me when I had it ages ago.
I remember when I had pneumonia, I was like bedridden for a week, and you took me out of the house. You, me, and what was it? Aaron?
Oh, who was it?
A friend of ours. Doesn't matter.
Aaron?
For the sake of this podcast, it doesn't matter. But you, me, and a friend of ours. I think it might have been Thomas or something. We all went to
the
candy store in Jordan.
Yeah.
And I had never been there. Just being like a sick, like hallucinogenic fever dream of an experience. At one point,
that's the experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, given that I was like hopped up on medication and feverish, at one point we came across a large edible snake.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Have you been back since?
No, I did once.
Did you see all the new installations I got?
No,
they're wild. They got
Uh,
entire rooms dedicated with statues and...
Nice.
Oh, it's
They still have
bizarre.
the big TARDIS?
Yeah. They
Nice.
have animatronics there that sing to you now.
Oh, that's creepy.
It
No, those
is.
were there last time.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah, California Raisins were there, I think.
They look kind of like them, but no.
Oh,
they're not.
they weren't? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what can we talk about that isn't Backstabbing for Beginners?
God, anything. Honestly, anything.
Okay. I didn't hate this movie.
It's a passable movie.
I think it's fair to say I didn't even dislike it that much.
No, it's just a nothing.
But it's very generic.
Yeah.
It's very like I said, it's just very cliched dialogue.
I'm never gonna remember this movie.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with the way it's nothing wrong with the color grading.
No,
The
it's
editing
fine.
is smooth and sleek and fine.
It's about as normal as it gets, and that's the problem.
Script is passable. None of the acting is terrible, and I think the standout performance is Ben Kingsley, and I get the feeling he barely gave a shit. He gave enough of a shit to make it not like boring, because Ben Kingsley is just a charismatic actor.
Yeah,
I'm gonna turn that off.
He's fine,
but
in it. Like
it's a movie that is less than the sum of its parts. You bring all this stuff together, and you get generic Oscar bait political thriller / biopic.
My recommendation: watch The Big Short.
Yes. So this movie is kind of like, it's like The Big Short without the personality.
Watch that other one that was made by the guy that did The Big Short about Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Is it called just Dick? What's it called?
I don't think it's called Dick.
I think it's just called Penis.
What is it called? Vice.
Vice, that's it.
because he was the vice president.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Same thing. Anyway.
Yeah, actually, no, it's actually very similar to Vice. I'm glad you pointed that out. It is like Vice, but without the personality.
Yeah, like, if they could have gotten just a stellar main lead that was interesting and charismatic, this movie could have been much better.
I think the main character was one of the biggest problems I had with him. He's very, very...
I thought he was Henry Cavill in the very beginning, but then I looked just a little closer, and no, he's just generic white man, he's number 3.
Completely uncharismatic. He could have been a background extra, and I would have picked him out, and I've been like, they could have gotten a better background extra. He is just
that's pretty bad.
He is just so like plain white bread, just complete nothing. He's like a black hole of charisma.
Yeah, he really is.
He's just the most generic guy. And here's the thing: he's based on a real person. Now, I don't know.
The real person's probably great.
Probably a lot more interesting.
Probably great. I would love to meet the real person.
Okay, so this movie's based on a true story, kind of. For reasons I don't quite understand. Okay, it's based on the book called Backstabbing For Beginners, which is written by the guy who was like the real guy that did this. The main character is like the real guy who wrote the book.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is not... The guy in this movie is called Michael Sullivan. And the guy in real life is called Michael Susan.
That name's too hard to pronounce, they had to make it more generic.
Yeah, but what's weird is, in the movie, they point out that Michael Sullivan is 24 years old. I looked it up, and Michael Susan in 2002 was 29. I don't know why they just like kind of fictionalize this guy when it's
weird
about a real person, about like somebody who actually wrote the book this is based on.
We gotta make him young and hot and attractive.
That might just be the reasoning. They like, it's more interesting if he's just a really young guy.
I mean, I suppose like the upstart underdog, he shouldn't be in this position. Kind of, he's too young for the job, kind of guy. I guess that's why I say it's like, it's kind of Michael Susan, but it's kind of a fictionalized version of him, which is kind of weird. Dumb.
It's interesting. I don't know a lot about Michael Susan. I assume he's an interesting guy because I mean he's done some interesting shit. Like, this movie on paper is really interesting. If you're like really into the politics of the post 9/11 UN's involvement in Iraq.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like everything that's happening in this movie is incredibly interesting.
Yes, it's just the movie doesn't like...
But the movie's awful.
The movie doesn't
just
engage
boring.
you with it. Like
nonsense.
Like he like Vice is about... Okay, Vice is about subject that I didn't really know anything about, and I wasn't really interested in. I didn't know a whole lot about Dick Cheney when I watched Vice.
Oh, you didn't know he was the most evil man in the world?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I just knew, like, I mean, I was... When Dick Cheney was in office, I was like 3. You know?
Fair.
Like, I didn't know a lot about the guy. But here's the thing. Vice, like, grips you.
It does. It does a great job.
It makes you interested in this topic. It portrays it as a very interesting thing. And I actually, when it was over, I like Googled all this stuff because I was like, I want to learn more about what happened.
Yeah.
What went down with this like real life like supervillain guy that was like in the White House, and And it's like it's just like made really well, and it's gripping.
You can just see him cackling like Penguin and Batman. Oh my God.
If you don't have an interest in the subject of this movie, like, it's not, you're just gonna sleep through it.
Yeah, there's nothing then for you.
I was watching this movie, I was like, my eyes were glazed over. I was like on my phone half the time because I was like, there's nothing here for me. I can't sink my teeth into anything.
Yeah, listen. It was so bad. I had Adventure Capitalist running in the background.
Right.
Do you remember Adventure Capitalist?
No, yeah.
It's a clicker game.
Yeah, no.
And when you get into it for longer than 20 minutes, there's nothing to do.
Yeah,
and that was more interesting.
Adventure Capitalist was the clicker game that beat all clicker games in terms of like pointlessness.
Yeah.
In fact, the whole point of Adventure Capitalist is how pointless it is.
Exactly.
It's almost like an art statement. That game.
It really is. It's kind of amazing.
Because I mean, it's parodying capitalism, so it's like the clicker genre has come full circle.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And that is a much more interesting political statement.
We could talk about that for
longer than this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's just this dude, he signs up for the UN.
Yep.
And he's under Ben Kingsley, who's good and
corrupt guy.
He's I liked, he's not like an evil dude. He's
not
just
evil,
he's just
corrupt.
He's just complacent with like corruption. He's so old and jaded. And he's just like he's not a bad guy. It reminded me of Training Day, but like the movie has a Training Day vibe where you got this idealistic young lad, who is under this old grizzled guy that just like does things a little dirty.
Except nobody got shot in the ass.
Yeah, except it's like Training Day is like exciting.
Yeah,
and like stuff of interest happens.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want to cut this short because I feel like all we would do is just like talk about movies that this reminded us of that are better.
We would just talk about other things than this movie.
And you know what? I'm going to say that same exact thing about The Souvenir.
Well, okay.
Okay,
yeah, let's transfer to The Souvenir.
Is there anything more you want to say about Backstabbing For Beginners?
Not at all. I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway. Okay. So The Souvenir, we picked a weird week to do The Souvenir.
Yes.
Because The Souvenir Part 2
I didn't even realize that this is like going on. Like, I knew they were working on a Part 2 to this movie, but then I just saw the other day, like, oh shit, it's like...
It like just got released at
it just came out. Yeah.
Is it Cannes?
I think it's Cons.
I
only say Con because of the Mr. Bean's holiday, and he goes Con.
Good.
Yeah, so that's why I say it like that.
But yeah, so that literally just got put out in display on the Con,
and we didn't plan this
video film festival.
Believe me, neither of us even knew about it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It is the second part is getting better reviews.
Good.
Which hopefully that means that this Part 2 justifies the existence of Part 1?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Part 1 got bad reviews necessarily. It's just a rare case of a movie that got polarizing reviews, and I actually side with the negative side. Well, let's get right into it. What is Souvenir? It's not a movie, that's for sure. You know
what it reminds me of?
It's what they call mumblecore. What does it remind you of?
It reminds me of like a really boring art house, more art house, like an art house of like a Big Lebowski. It's just following a person and seeing what happens.
It's extremely slice of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole movie.
That's admirable, right? And you know what? It's done really well. I think the acting's pretty great.
The acting's fine.
All the tech on a technical level, everything's great.
Yeah, the cinematography I thought was pretty dang good.
Yes.
That was probably the best part.
it's got this vibe to it that's like really, really like they really knew what they were doing when they made this movie.
Yeah. It felt a lot like The Favorite as far as like the vibe. Like kind of quiet, a lot of staring.
What I kept thinking about is, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a movie called Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's extremely similar to Call Me By Your Name.
That's a much better.
However, Call Me By Your Name, like, I really, really emphasized with no, that's not the right word. Empathized with the characters, and I really, really attached myself to the story. It's really slow paced and it's really slice of life, but I was like, I really cared about the characters, and I couldn't find myself doing that for the people in the Souvenir. I don't know why.
Well, okay,
which is weird because I'm a straight man. I'm a straight person. And I empathized with this extremely gay story, but this very hetero story, I was like, nah, I can't see myself in this situation. Well, maybe that says something about me.
Well, let me try to see if I can solve this little mystery for you, right?
Yeah.
The biggest problem with The Souvenir and trying to sympathize with either of the characters is it's a self-inflicted wound for both of them.
Yeah.
They're both shooting themselves in the foot.
That's totally the point.
And that is the point.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make me want to care about them.
I get that.
And they don't seem to address it or take any initiative to either do anything about it.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
Like, they just basically just accept that this is how it is.
Yeah.
Because the big climactic, like, scene that I vividly remember is when she's, like, really upset with him because he stole from her.
Yeah.
For drugs, right?
And he's
horribly angry, and he's like, "Oh well, I can't believe you would want to invade my privacy and ask me all these personal questions."
How does he react to it? He's just
just kind of mumbles about it.
I'm sorry if you're upset about it, but this is just what I had to do.
Yeah, I just couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, and he's like you understand why I couldn't tell you why I was doing this. It's just this
because I knew you'd be angry, and she's like, "Yeah, I guess I would be angry, so I guess you shouldn't have told me." Like, she just like goes along with it.
Yeah, right. And I think the idea of this movie is that like young people are stupid and naive.
Yeah,
I think there's a message to be had here.
I'm sure. But that doesn't make me like them.
I wanted to punch this movie in the face.
Fair.
So much.
Very fair.
I have problems with pretentious movie characters. That's every character in this movie.
Yeah.
When Richard Ayoade showed up, I loved Richard Ayoade in it because he's like the most pretentious of all.
He's a pretentious caricature almost.
Yeah, like of himself.
Yeah.
He's just like Richard Ayoade turned up to 11. Like,
yeah, it's really good.
And he's
that definitely is the best part.
And it's great. He's like the best part of the whole movie just because Richard Ayoade, and he's wearing like a leopard print shirt, and then he's just like he's smoking a cigar, and it's just like
it's so good.
And he's got like a beret on or something. I forget. He's just like such a douchebag. And I loved him.
And they confront that in the movie. They're like, "Yeah, I liked your friend." No, you didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. That
he was a
great.
jackass or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they know what they're doing.
All right, so I didn't like either of the main characters. I thought the girl, well, she's like really pretentious. That's her thing. She's an art student who's like he's just like, my work is important. Like I'm trying to portray the human condition, which is very meta given like how the movie is.
Yeah.
And her character had a good purpose in the movie. And I just hated her character. Because I don't like people like that. I don't like people that take art so seriously. I've loved some good art movies in the past, but at the end of the day, you can't take it so seriously.
So I went to school to be an art major.
Right.
I met a lot of these people. I
imagine you did.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about people that just want their art to be so incredibly world-changing, but at the same time, they don't have any, like, self-realization about what their art is actually going to be doing.
They don't have any self-awareness.
Yeah, no self-awareness at all about what they're doing and how it's being seen. Mm-hmm. So they just think that this is the God-changing, statement to the universe that's going to blow up and change everybody's mind about something.
Yeah.
But it's nothing. Like, it doesn't have anything actually to say.
Well, but I liked how they handle her character, because I don't know if you know this about the movie, but I looked it up, and the director, or like writer-director, this is kind of like a semi-autobiographical movie. Yeah, it's kind of about her experience growing up, and it's like it's embracing this like wanting to do something. It kind of talks about what you're talking about. It embraces this like wanting to do something important and being so like wrapped up in doing something important, and then you start to talk to real people, and then it's just like what you're doing feels silly.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
because there's a scene she had just gotten done explaining where she doesn't want her movie to be seen as a documentary.
Yeah,
she wants it to be seen as a work of fiction that mirrors real life or something like that.
Yeah, this movie's incredibly meta.
And then she's at a dinner scene, and like the father of the guy she's dating is like talking to her about her movie, and he was like, "Oh, it's about time somebody made a documentary about this place." And then she's like, she doesn't say anything. You can tell she's just seething. I was like, I like that. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, like there were definitely hints and bits and pieces that were good. And I'm not saying that... I was just talking about the people that are like that.
Yes.
Not that this movie is nothing. Okay? This movie definitely isn't nothing.
Well, it's going to get kind of confusing because you could talk about what this movie is and what this movie is about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Anywho... Where were we? I feel like I kind of sidetracked.
Well, okay, so she herself is talking about making this insane, just mind-blowing movie, gets caught up in it, and some of the best moments are when she decides to take a step back and talk to real people.
Right.
Like, she hangs out with her friends, and for me, those were the most relaxing moments of the whole film.
Yeah, she talks to real people, she hangs out with her friends, she talks to the crack addict that breaks into her apartment.
Yeah, the best part.
Real people.
But, those connections, I think, made her seem like a real person.
Yeah.
Anytime she's with her, like, boyfriend, she turns into, like, a paper doll.
Oh, totally.
Like, she's not real.
And her boyfriend is, like...
some weird famous guy. Some adventure man. I don't even understand.
Just completely, like...
He's been everywhere, done everything, mysterious guy.
Thinks he's so smart. He's very smarmy.
Yeah.
He's very... I don't know how I was supposed to feel about him, but I was like, this guy is like such a the worst person for this girl.
Yeah, just trouble all around. Heroin addict.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. He's nothing but trouble.
Yep.
Thinks he's God's gift to the earth, it kind of seems.
And he's like planting these ideas in her head. He's trying to tell her what she is, again, these are all things that the movie's aware of.
Yeah.
This is the point.
But does that make it enjoyable at all?
No. Well, yeah, and so okay, yeah, the common thread between the two movies this week is there are two movies that I could not even focus on because I was so unengaged.
Yeah, they're just not enjoyable.
And the difference being that's the kind of movie that Souvenir is and is trying to be. It's just a fly on the wall slice of life, totally non-cinematic experience. And the problem with Backstabbing For Beginners is it's trying to be cinematic and it fails miserably.
Yeah. we talked quite a bit, or at least us personally have talked quite a bit about entertainment value versus like how good the movie is objectively.
Yes.
And this is the week where like those two things become very important.
Yeah.
Because our entertainment value for these movies are both very low. But the difference between the two
is... One is arguably a lot better than the other.
Objectively, The Souvenir is on a different level in comparison to Backstabbing for Beginners. Would I recommend either of these?
No.
Not at all. No.
Okay, The Souvenir is for somebody, at least. There are people out there who would enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know who those people are.
Probably.
Because here's the thing. I can't say, like, if you liked Call Me By Your Name, you'll like The Souvenir. Because I loved Call Me By Your Name. I've seen it, like, 3 times. I thought it was great. I didn't like The Souvenir at all. So, I don't know. I don't know who it's for.
I couldn't tell you who it's for. I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe pretentious assholes.
Maybe.
But sometimes you're a pretentious asshole.
That's true. Like, I'm pretty pretentious, right? Like, I thought the ghost story was a masterpiece, you know? Like, I'm pretty pretentious. But I didn't vibe with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably because it didn't have enough frenetic energy and frenetic editing and, like, big loud colors.
Yeah, it's very slow and muted.
It's extremely muted. It's not energetic enough for me. I need heads exploding.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe if it had had 1 or 2 like trippy dream sequences, I might have been into it. But like, that's
all it needed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't recommend either of these. The winner this week for me is still The Souvenir, just on a technical level.
I think so. I'm very tempted to go for Backstabbing for Beginners, and I'll tell you why. I feel like...
Shoot me.
I feel like Backstabbing for Beginners is more accessible. It might not be good, but you could put this on for your like granddad, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah,
yeah." I mean,
you put the Souvenir on for your granddad, he's gonna be like, "What the hell is this?" Are my hearing aids even on? I don't even know what's going on.
They're not doing anything.
Yeah, is the movie paused? What is this? Yeah,
it's been muted for 20 minutes.
Whereas on the other hand, it's like Saddam Hussein. I remember that guy.
Okay, so let me rephrase this. On a technical level, Souvenir wins. On any other like entertainment value level, Backstabbing for Beginners wins.
That's fair.
There you go.
I think that's fair.
Do I want anybody to watch either of these movies? No. Maybe that'll change when we have to watch The Souvenir Part 2 and
is
The
that
Souvenir.
Even is that more release?
It is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. I guess we're gonna have to see it then, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, so maybe that'll make it all worth it.
You know what sucks? You know what sucks?
What sucks?
We totally should have waited on The Souvenir. Like,
we didn't know.
How often does an A24 movie get a sequel? That, like, straight up doesn't happen.
I understand.
That might be the first time it's ever happened.
It might be, yeah.
And given that we do a show where we very specifically do A24 movies 2 at a time...
Listen, that wasn't like weeks ago when we recorded the last one.
It's insane. Like, and I'm not going to talk about it again.
No.
I'm not going to think about it again until we watch the second one, inevitably, and then we'll be like, what happened in the first one?
It's fine.
Yeah. So,
that's it.
Next week, I think I'm a little more excited for next week.
You think so?
I should have had this pulled up.
I am too, actually.
No, we already know. That's right.
It's Gloria Bell.
Gloria Bell and the Death of Dick Long.
The Adventures of My Long
Schlong.
Thank you.
Adventures of Long Schlong.
What a name.
Yeah. Do you think Justin Long named his kid Schlong? Schlong Long?
No, I think he named it Richard. And this
Dick
movie
Long?
is actually an autobiography of his son.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the Death of Dick Long. Gloria Bell, I know nothing about it, but it looks like definitely not my thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be mediocre.
Yeah.
Just from the little little.
It doesn't look mediocre. It looks like for a target demographic that does not include me.
Yeah.
It looks like it's the type of movie that is for your 50-year-old middle-aged women that love day drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And watching The View.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately doesn't include me yet.
Yet.
There's always time.
Who knows? Maybe that's like the next big thing that kids are going to get into.
Maybe that's going to be like the rest of my 20s, just day drinking and daytime television. Now that I'm going to be unemployed as of next week.
Yeah, we both got angry and just quit our jobs after this.
We both worked at the same place, and we we watched The Souvenir, and then we just quit.
We're like, that's it. We're fed up.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
If the boss asks, why'd you leave? I'd be like, well, I had to watch the...
Have you ever seen...
Have you ever seen this weird British movie? Like, I had to watch it for... I'm picturing this scenario in my head, and all I can see is, instead of me in this scenario, I'm only seeing Tim Robinson. So this episode by saying, watch I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. The second season just came out.
God,
Me and Josh are going to do a full watch through tomorrow.
I'm so excited.
I've seen it all the way through, and Josh does not know what he's in for.
I've only seen the clips you've sent me on Snapchat, and I've already quoted the car one like so many times.
Yeah.
To friends.
What's the matter with you? You don't know how to fucking drive?
No. I'm fucking scared.
I don't know how to fucking drive. I don't know what any of this shit does, and I'm fucking scared.
Oh my god, I haven't even seen the show and I'm already quoting it. It's so good.
It's extremely quotable. The whole show is just like,
oh my god, I'm
very,
so
very quotable. So go watch that instead of either of these two movies.
That's a solid suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just watch The Big Lebowski again. I did that recently.
Oh yeah. I've been meaning to rewatch it. It keeps showing up on Netflix. I'm like, oh yeah.
I always forget. Like I know that Donnie dies, but I forget that that's just like the end of the movie.
Doesn't he die of like a heart attack?
Yeah.
Or something? Yeah.
He gets scared when they get into a fight.
He's fucking scared.
And then he just dies.
Yeah.
And then they have a fucking like KFC bucket they put in his ass. Put his ashes in. Anyway, it's great.
And then it like comes back in the dude's face.
It blows right back at him.
Oh, what a good movie!
What a great movie!
I can't wait to rewatch it again whenever that happens.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So, we were able to talk about these two movies for 32 minutes, and I'm very proud of us for that.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, 90% of that was us talking about other movies. But,
well, absolutely.
I'm okay with it.
You win some, you lose some.
And some days you have to watch
here on A24 Quest. When you talk about A24 movies, the public, they only know your Moonlights and your like Midsommars and your like heavily critically acclaimed movies.
Yeah.
And that's why every time a trailer for a A24 movie comes out, everybody in the comments is like, "Oh my god, A24! Every movie they put out is a masterpiece." And listen to me,
you're wrong.
You don't have to do things that we have to worry about. You win some, you lose some. There are some great A24 movies out there. That's the whole reason we're doing this show. But sometimes there's a couple.
Sometimes you watch The Captive.
Yeah.
Sometimes you watch Backstabbing.
Sometimes you're like, I cannot believe this movie was released to theaters. And
oh god, that's very funny. Good job.
Yeah. I feel like we always end like this whenever we have to talk about a couple like really boring A24 Quest movies, but it's just like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry these movies weren't good enough for us to talk about.
I'm sorry if you saw this video in your subscriptions tab or your recommended tab or whatever, and you were like, oh, these are like two A24 movies I've never even heard of. Are they any good? Oh.
Yeah, well, on the upside, we've seen them, so you don't have to. Congratulations.
The winner for this episode is The Souvenir.
Oh, no, the winner for this episode is you for not seeing these two movies.
Yes.
Congratulations.
But watch I Think You Should Leave instead. It's a comedy masterpiece.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
Craig Robinson. Actually a comedic genius nobody knows about.
Tim Robinson. It'd be great if Craig Robinson did instead. I'd love to see him.
I love him too, actually, though, so I can't complain.
I think Tim Robinson, Craig Robinson, and Porter Robinson should all do a show together.
That would be so good.
The two on-screen personalities are, of course, Tim Robinson and Porter Robinson, and then Craig Robinson does the music.
Yeah. Imagine a Craig Robinson.
I would like to hear a Porter Robinson song featuring Craig Robinson and Tim Robinson.
Oh my god, the Robinsons.
It's just like, the
Mrs.
Robinsons.
Robinson.
Oh yeah. And then it's just like this like beautiful synthy club beat, like just like filled with life,
just phenomenal harmonic vocals.
Yeah, and then Tim Robinson says, and then the skeletons came out. Has this ever happened to you?
Yeah.
In their world, bones equal dollars.
Yeah. God.
I think I'm gonna have to go make that edit right now. All right, I'm gonna close this episode out, and I'm just gonna open up Vegas, and I'm gonna make that edit right now.
Oh God.
Okay. See y'all later.
Y'all have a great day.
Yes. Appreciate you.
Appreciate your life.
Yes. And appreciate the time you spend on this earth where you don't have to sit through 4 hours of bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.